Hey, everybody, this is Your Mind Translated podcast. This is your host, Jack, so let's get to it. Hey, everybody, welcome back. This episode will be a little different. It's heavily influenced by another podcast that I have been listening to for a long time. I'm talking about Tangentially Speaking with Chris Ryan. He has this short episodes called Thomas and Romas, in which he talks about his travels and whatever he thinks about current events. So this episode is something that I've been thinking in doing as well, heavily influenced, as I said, by Chris. So here's my shot at it. I'm not sure how I would call this little episode, but I'm sure eventually I will figure something out. Or if you listeners out there have any suggestion about how I should call it, then by all means, please let me know in the comment section or over email how you think that I should call this episode, and I will listen to your input. On a side note, I got a new microphone thanks to the kind donation of one of the listeners. I got this new podcast microphone from Rode. I'm not advertising them, but I just thought that it would be logical to say that I got this new device, and it seems to be working pretty well. So hopefully the sound quality will improve over time, and you guys will be happier to hear my voice in higher quality. So thank you, Kevin, for your kind donation, and hopefully you are getting something out of these episodes, and hopefully we are all working towards a better way to improve ourselves and our quality of lives. I was thinking that while you listen to this, it would be a good time to take a step back from the hustle and bustle of daily life to think deeply about the world that we live in. I want to invite you on a brief journey. This will be a short reflection on our world, seen through a simple yet philosophical lens. We live in this era of rapid change. Technology is advancing faster than ever, connecting us in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Yet, in the midst of all this progress, and I quote, progress, many of us feel more disconnected from each other, from nature, and even from ourselves. So the question is, how did we get here? And what does it mean to live a meaningful life in a world that never seems to slow down, in a world that seems meaningless? Let's start with a simple observation. We are fucking constantly bombarded with information. News, social media, advertisements, they all compete for our number one resource these days, which is attention. But what is attention? Well, in a philosophical sense, attention is our most valuable resource. It's the currency of our consciousness. The way we invest our time and energy when we spend our days glued to screens, reacting to every notification, we might ask ourselves, are we really living or are we just reacting? The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. In our quote-unquote modern world, we often forget to look back, to reflect on our experiences and learn from them. We're so focused on what's next, what's the next task, the next goal, the next trend, that we lose sight of the bigger picture. What if instead of always looking forward, we simply took a moment to pause, to breathe, and to simply be? In our world today, being present can feel like a luxury, something reserved for vacations or special moments. But what if presence is actually the key to a fulfilling life? When we're present, we're fully engaged with the moment, whether it's having a conversation, enjoying a meal, or simply taking a walk. We're not distracted by thoughts of the past or worries about the future. We're here now, living in the only moment that truly exists, the present one. And when we think about our relationships with others, in today's world, we have more ways to connect than ever before. Yet many people feel fucking lonely. Another philosopher, Martin Buber, talked about the difference between I-et relationships and I-thou relationships. An I-et relationship is transactional. We interact with others as objects, as means to an end. But an I-thou relationship is different. It's a genuine connection where we see the other person as a whole unique individual. In a world that often values efficiency over empathy, how can we cultivate more I-thou moments in our lives? I think that's a good question. Let's also touch on the idea of purpose. With so many options and possibilities, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by that question, what am I supposed to do with my life? The ancient Greeks, they believed in the concept of eudaimonia, which is loosely translated into flourishing or the good life. They believed that living well was not about your wealth or status, but about fulfilling your potential and living in harmony with your true self. I know the bigger question is, what is your true self? But that would be for another episode. These days, where external success is often rewarded or emphasized, how can we reconnect with our inner sense of purpose? Now, as you probably have already realized, I take a lot from the Greeks, from the Stoics, and I take a lot from them because for them, the first step to recognize the much of what feels like chaos is not within our control. This is where the wisdom of the Stoics comes in. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple truth is revolutionary. The chaos of the world, the traffic, the noise, the endless notifications on our phones, we can't control any of it, but we can control how we respond to it. In Stoic thought, there is a clear distinction between what we can control and what we can't. We can't control other people or the economy or the headlines of the day, but we can control our thoughts, our actions, and how we choose to spend our time. Just imagine how much lighter we would feel if we could let go of the need to control the uncontrollable and truly focus on what's right in front of us, our own choices, our own mind, and our own humanity. One of the keys to becoming more human in this noisy world is mindfulness. And yes, I know this has become a business, this mindfulness trend. And I think even the translation of the word mindfulness is kind of wrong because mindfulness means having a full mind. And I think what actually applies here is having less of mind, having more space for analytical thinking and for rationality and to give more space to what really matters and not to the distractions. Being mindful isn't about sitting on a cushion and meditating for 30 minutes a day, although I admit that that can be helpful. It's more about becoming fully present in each moment, whether you're washing dishes, talking to a friend, or walking down the street. That is also being mindful. That is also a way of meditating, of having more space for who you really are and less space for who you're really not. This world today, you have to understand that thrives on distraction. But when you are mindful, you can take back your power, which is to choose to be fully present rather than letting the world pull you in 100 different directions. I mean, when was the last time you sat and listened to someone fully engaged without checking your phone or letting your mind wander? When was the last time you ate a meal slowly, savoring every bite without rushing or thinking about the next thing on your to-do list? These moments of mindfulness are, I think, where we reconnect with our humanity. They remind us that life isn't something that happens in the future or on a screen. It's happening now, in this very moment. Life is not a rehearsal. This is not your rehearsal. This is your one-shot opportunity. This is your one life, and that's all you get. One shot. And it is not just about being present. It is also about being intentional. Today, we are constantly pushed to consume more, to achieve more, and to move faster. But what would it look like to live with more intention? To pause and ask yourself, what do I really value? How do I want to spend my time? What kind of person do I want to be in the world? The Stoics believed in living according to virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. They taught that a good life is not about wealth or status or comfort. It's more about living in alignment with these virtues. This is what it means to be truly human. It means choosing to act with integrity even when the world around you is chaotic. It means being brave enough to slow down in a world that values speed. It means being wise enough to focus on what truly matters rather than being swept away by every passing trend or crisis. We often think that escaping the craziness of today's world means retreating to some far off place, turning off our phones and isolating ourselves. And while taking time for solitude is important, the real work happens in the middle of our everyday lives. It happens when we choose to be mindful during our busy work day, or when we respond with calm instead of frustration to a stressful situation, for example. It happens when we consciously decide to live according to our values rather than letting the world tell us who to be. And there is a passionate side to this as well. It's not just about detaching from the noise. It's about fully embracing what it means to be alive. To be human is to feel deeply, to care about the world, to love fiercely, and to seek meaning in everything we do. But to do that, we need to clear away the distractions that keep us from living fully. We need to reclaim our time, our attention, and our energy for the things that truly matter. We need to tend to the garden nearer to us. So how do we escape the chaos of today's world? Well, I think that we can start by recognizing that we are in control of our inner world. Even if the outer world feels chaotic, we practice being fully present in each moment. We live intentionally, making choices based on our values, not on what the world expects of us. And we find meaning in the everyday life, knowing that it's in the simple, mindful moments that we reconnect with ourselves. So, as the world is going crazy, there are wars everywhere, people dying of hunger while the other half is dying of obesity, riots, strikes. Everything seems to be going in no direction. and in all directions at the same time. And still, while all that is happening, let's take a moment to reflect on a few key questions here. Where am I placing my attention? Am I truly present in my life? How am I connecting with others? And what does it mean to live a life of purpose in this world today? These are big questions, and there are no easy answers. But by taking the time to reflect and to question and to explore, we can begin to find our own path through the complexities of this planet that we live in. This is something that I read somewhere. I don't remember where, but I liked it and it hit me when I read it. So I'm going to give it to you. It goes like this. Your diet is not only what you eat, it's also what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, and the people you hang around with. So be very careful and mindful of the things that you put into your body emotionally, spiritually, and physically. With that beautiful quote, I leave you all. Thank you for letting me be in your ears again for this short period of time, almost 20 minutes, I think. Thank you, Kevin, for your donation, which was used to buy this new microphone for the podcast. Hopefully, the sound quality was better. Let me know in the comment section or over the podcast email, yourmindtranslatedpodcast@gmail.com. Tune in for the next one. Stay safe. Stay aware. Much love, everybody. Khodafis.